aren't the droids we're looking for.
I got a bad feeling about this.
It's them! Blast them!
Hey everybody, welcome back to another Star Wars Legion Tactics channel episode. Today I've got some really good content for you guys as I cover one of the topics I've been looking to discuss for a while now, and that's winners and losers of Legion 2.0, if you're willing to call it that. The couple things that we got to address before we get started is just because a unit is in the winner or losers category of this video doesn't make it a good or a bad unit. I will put units that most people think are good in the losers category. The main goal that I'm trying to accomplish is for you to see what units got better or worse due to changes in Legion 2.0. Three main things that I'm grading all of these units on is number one, gameplay changes. How did the game as a whole, rules-wise, objective-wise, cover-wise, anything like that, affect a unit? The second thing is the cards themselves. There will be units in here that did not get a cards change, but a lot of them are going to be new card units. The last thing is points. It's always the first thing we think about when making our lists is how many points does this unit cost? Cost efficiency is a major part of success for any unit in the game. So without further ado, let's get started. Our first loser for this video is going to be every single bike. A points change for every bike unit in the game going up, and even though we got a 200 points increase, I don't think a 10-point increase is going to cut it for bikes across the board, and some more or less depending on which unit you look at. I won't go over every single bike in detail, but some really big points that I think make them losers overall is some of these main things. Number one, the points, of course. Second thing is you are limited to any time you are carrying an objective to 2 movements. So you can't just triple move with a secondary objective or the bomb for the wannabe bombing run objective. You have to perform only 2 moves when carrying a token. The biggest thing for me is this right here. Cover 1 is not good. It's just a prayer many games in a row for me where I'm just hoping I get a cover saves for cover 1, but in reality I'm usually never getting that, and I'm getting one shot with my unit. Another thing is the game is so close now that speed is still very good. It allows the bikes to go out and play really fanned out objectives, but if you're playing something like Bunker Assault and you're just going straight at your opponent, you could double move up, shoot at range 3, and then all of a sudden here comes a Rebel sleeper cell just one-shotting your speeder bike squad. And that sucks, especially when we're talking about all of these bikes for the most part being white save units. BARC speeders are the one exception, but they also have the weakest offensive profile, and they also get that points increase, so I don't think they helped much there either. The biggest thing with this game right now is you really want to trade units, and the bigger the dice pool, the better, even though cover's trying to make that not the case. It doesn't always work out like that. Cover 1's a bad keyword. These are not bad units by any means. I'm not telling you not to play them once again, but I do think that the cover 1 change of not just having a guaranteed 1 hit gone, lost is just not that good. On top of that, the objectives are much closer, so the need for speed has been reduced significantly, and the damage output on a lot of these units is lacking, unfortunately, to make up for the fact that they might just quite literally get removed from the board next turn. They're still good, they just feel a lot more situational, and I think those situations mostly come down to what objective you can get. And that's my last thing, is you can't control that anymore. Even if you're playing something like Blizzard Force with 4 bikes, there's only so many objectives that are good for fast, speedy units like bikes, but now you really don't take a bid or anything like that to make sure you get your objectives. You could just get an objective that does not help you. And when these things are streamlined into just jousting match against your opponent, I think they fall apart very quickly. Winner, in our first winner, is a unit that used to be quite literally terrible, and that's Commander Luke. Commander Luke is absolutely so much better than he used to be, and I love putting him on the table. He's one of my favorite Rebel commanders right now. And the first thing is he's just cheap. His whole card is just better. You can look at it with Jump 1, Blarp, Charge, Immune Pierce, Inspire 2, Sharpshooter 1, all fantastic keywords. Very cheap, cost-effective unit. Yes, he's only got the 1 Force upgrade slot, but I don't think without Recovery of the Force you're ever going to want to bring Force Push with him. Just go ahead and put Burst of Speed on him and use him like a melee brawler. His shot is also really good. I think that his pistol is very underrated, especially with Son of Skywalker. You can really surprise opponents by swinging, then shooting, or just shooting twice, anything like that. 6 health, courage 3 to help out your units around you as well, make him an actual good commander and not just a beat stick. So last thing is just he has really good command cards, like the Luke 3-pip, I am a Jedi, that lets you stop 2 different attacks or 2 different units from attacking for a turn. Is fantastic when you have such a cheap unit that can make much more expensive units just turn off for a turn. I love doing that with this version of Luke, but he's significantly improved. Everything on this card is better, and I think he's someone that Rebel players are very happy to put on the table now. Next up, another loser is, please don't freak out, it's Boba Fett. And I know many of you are going to say, nope, he's absolutely still a great character, and you're right. And I'm just going to tell you right now, if any character you played in this game, Boba Fett is my #1 most used unit in the game. I love Boba Fett, but I cannot deny the fact that he has gotten worse with these changes. And there's some reasons why. First things first, when you're playing with 1,000 points, you just have more stuff. You have more dice, you have more things that need orders, especially to make those dice efficient. And most competitive Boba players are bringing at least 4 of his cards, if not 5, and if you're really crazy, 6. With that being said, I don't think in many lists he's going to cut it as your centerpiece, your main unit that's going to do all the damage. Yes, his dice pool is still really, really good, but there's just things that throw more dice. And since Boba Fett isn't getting an auto 2 from cover, you're going to be rolling your defensive dice a lot more and feeling the pain of rolling 5 surging red dice and watching Boba Fett just whiff some rolls every once in a while. So without that guaranteed cover and Boba Fett really wanting to be a unit that goes first and then goes last, goes first and last, and never really allows your opponent to shoot back, even if you still follow up on that kind of strategy, I think if the rest of your army suffers so much from that, of him being so greedy, that it actually kind of makes him a liability. I think he's much better by just playing as a bounty hunter and whipping around the battlefield and trying to get a bounty and kill units. Once again, he's not bad. He's still a great unit, but if anyone hasn't noticed, he's not really in the top competitive lists anymore. He's definitely disappeared quite a bit. I'll also say that even though his kit is mostly range 2, with his 1-pip that makes him range 3 for a turn, that can get really denied by things like backup. If you're trying to one-shot a squishy character and all of a sudden one of the best cover saves in the game is just backup. So you really do want to operate at range 1 to 2 if you're trying to shoot commanders and get bounty. Otherwise, 5 black dice with Sharpshooter 2 is nothing to scoff at, but there's better things in the game that can kill things more efficiently. You will see Boba Fett get one shot more often, and you will see him doing less damage than ever. So I love him. He's still a great unit, but I do think these changes have significantly reduced his role in the game of being too greedy and his range efficiencies just being messed with as more and more aggressive units come into the game and dominate the competitive scene. Next up, we got Not So Bad Batch, and you may be asking, nothing changed, like at all. For the most part, the only thing that did change is Omega is now just makes the unit leader of Bad Batch, Hunter, a range 1 contest for Rebels. With that being said, the biggest reason they're on this list at all is because they did not get a points change from the latest errata. I really thought they were going to go up 10 points. I was almost sure of it, and they didn't. If you haven't noticed, they have been in the competitive scene quite a bit, and I don't care if you play Gar or Rebels, they are fantastic to have in your list. They have 1 command card, unlike Boba Fett, and honestly, with how close the game is, especially if you bring someone like Rex that just gives them Scouting Party 2, who cares about playing We Do What We Do? Just move them up twice and you're probably going to be at range 2 of something turn 1. With Omega in the range 1 contest, she can be behind walls, everything like that, popping in and out, shooting things, deleting entire units without ever being shot back. This unit is fantastic, and even if it does get the one bad thing going for it, which is its melee, if it gets tied up by like Darth Vader or something like that, you have a lot more options now. You can disengage and then move. You can just punch them out and prey on your impervious and your 3 surges and cash dodge and all your other defensive tech to just never die and tie up Vader for the whole game. You have all kinds of options with Bad Batch. Sharpshooter 1 with the current cover saves, once again, I think cover 1's kind of a joke. You're not ever really gonna get slowed down or stopped by that except for that 1 in a million shot. So you better hope that 1 in a million shot is against Bad Batch, because they are efficient. So tough, efficient, steady is such a good keyword. I mean, they have so many keywords, it's not even fair to talk about it. But really the biggest reason they're on this list is they're the same points they used to be. And the game has more points now, so go figure. Very independent, very good unit. Put it in your list if you play GAR or Rebels. Next up, loser number 3, we have the Fish Fry. I played a lot of Pykes back in my day. Sorry, please don't hate me. And I think that former glory is just ever so slowly fading with every single change they make to the game. They've obviously received points increase, and that's the first thing you're going to think about is like, oh, well, you know, we kind of already knew this, but I just think there's a lot more reasons that make them worse now. First thing is they like to be next to their commanders to get extra dodges, and since the game feels very split up, where you have usually 2 different forces fighting, if not 3 sometimes, depending on your objective, they can really feel left behind when only 1 commander's on one side, 1 Pyke capo's on one side, and there's 2 on the other, and I don't have enough dodges, yada yada yada. The other thing is, without a guaranteed 2 off from heavy cover, they can really get lasered down by a ton of different units nowadays. If you do not get some cover saves on top of your dodges can only do so much. They're still really good, and it does help when you have Danger Sense 2 as well, but you're going to get a lot less plink damage with how much closer the game is, and a lot more, oops, I one-shot your Pyke with this B2 doubled up unit. That's how the game is now. You're going to have a lot less people shooting you at range 4, and heck, even at range 3, the dice pulls are going to be scarier, to the point that a cover save and a couple dodges isn't going to save your Pyke unit from taking significant damage. I will say once again, this is not a bad unit, but I do think it's getting worse. Their offensive pool is very nice, but for their price and everything, they're really taking a hit. The last thing is the obvious one, which is they don't really work in other factions now. The fact I can't share tokens with them is pretty bad. It makes them a lot less enticing to bring to my Rebel army when I have Rebel Troopers now, who are actually really good. And I sure ain't bringing them over the new clone infantry unit. So a unit that used to be good, I think they're still fine. It's just they slowly lose more and more for me as time goes on. So be careful, Shadow Collective players. Play with cover still, but good luck. Next thing is what I call the CIS Holy Trinity. We got Count Dooku, General Grievous, and B2 Super Battle Droids. Once again, another category for our number 3 winner, but I didn't really want to just flood the top 5 with these 3 different units. I just think that CIS is going red. I think that you're talking about the faction that we all thought of as, you know, one of the easiest ones to kill because we think of B1s and things like that, but now that one of your core units, and arguably your best core unit, is red saves as well, CIS got a lot more defensive. Grievous going down and getting better keywords and all of his kit reworked is fantastic. Entourage with the Magna Guards is great. Being flat out immune pierce, I think, is honestly the best thing about his kit now. And Dooku might be my favorite thing to put on the table. He's one of the most fun units I played in Legion, and I am in love with this new Dooku. So not saying I'm biased on him, but I think he is fantastic. Getting an extra black dice at range 1 to 2, cunning, direct trooper, a slight points change, and surge to defend are all fantastic keywords, not to mention Master of the Force 2 and Makishi Mastery, all great keywords he already had. No, he does not have charge, but I think with his 1-pip and how close the game is, turn 2, you just burst the speed with your 1-pip, get in there and just make your opponent dig him out, because if they don't, he is going to cause havoc. He's a fantastic unit that now feels more like a commander in the droid army as well, since he has direct. That surge to defend makes him so difficult to kill, and he is a fantastic unit through and through. B2s, if you haven't fought against them yet, good luck. They are absolutely terrifying. I think they're probably the best unit when it comes to doubling down on a unit and making them one of the super squads. I played them quite a few times now. The versatility in their range 1 to 2 gun and just having a automatic anti-armor option with the wrist rockets is fantastic. 2 health apiece with red saves I think is absolutely better than armor 1, especially with a faction like this where I can throw aggressive tactics on either of these commanders and get these B2 surge tokens for defense, or better yet, offense. So, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about any of these 3 units. They are all fantastic, not to mention the faction itself. AI is completely different, not forcing you to use it nearly as often, and all of these units benefit from a game that is much more close and much more of a brawling style game. Every single one of these units thrive in that category. Next up, a unit that once again, just like Boba, I played a lot of. And this hurts me to say, but I'm putting Shoretroopers at number 2. I think these guys are just not that great and not that enticing to play at all. Prepared positions is one of those keywords that I still don't think people really know how to feel about. Most people would say it's bad. I think if you go all in on it, it can be pretty efficient and it can help you start the game where you need to be. But the combination of Courage 1 plus Speed 1 is just awful when you don't have super amounts of Inspire to help these guys out. Honestly, the biggest thing that I think puts them at number 2 for me is the fact they just do not have Target. Target was such a good keyword for them, and I think honestly, if you just put that back on the card, these guys would actually be pretty great. Longshot is a cool keyword, but range 4 and 5 is just much less efficient and matters a whole lot less in this version of the game. Used to be something that was very, very valuable and you wanted. If I was playing the last version of the Legion, I'd be like, oh heck yeah, we got Longshot. And yes, Empire does have access to, more tokens than ever when it comes to aims, but this isn't how I want to spend it. Adding 4 black dice to my T21B shot isn't exactly the most inspiring thing ever. So I just don't like them. Prepared positions usually gets them killed early. They're getting suppressed early, so they can't even take an aim to use long shot, much less move up and contest an objective. I don't know. There's no low profile on here. There's no target on here. It's just kind of rough. I don't even think the mortars are that good anymore. But I just don't have anything good to say about these guys. Pure red saves are fine, I guess, but with cover, you will see Shoretroopers fall apart very quickly, even to early plink damage as they trade with other units. So with all these things being said, I just don't think they're that good, and I think they got worse with this card change. This is one of the few units, besides one more I'm going to show you, that got a new card, but I think the things on the card really hurt Shoretroopers. So moving on to another winner, and this is a massive category because I did not feel like putting all 5 of these people, 6 of these people, 7 of these people on the winner side. And that's just anyone with Exemplar. These are the wannabe clone units, and anyone that got Exemplar added to their card, fantastic unit. Put it in your list, can't go wrong. These guys are going to get flown under the radar mostly because they're not going to be your end-all be-all units of the game, but the fact that Krennic just has things like Exemplar and Spotter 1 on his kit, perfect. His cards are fantastic too, and for his points cost, that's a great unit. Just look at the Rebel Officer, Imperial Officer, T-Series. Those basic units having Exemplar is insane. I love this change to make commanders feel more like commanders. And I think we've kind of accepted it, and we've already almost taken it for granted that it's just like, oh yeah, everybody has it, so it's not that good. I love this. I have a hard time bringing Commander Luke sometimes because I'm like, dang, I kind of just want another Rebel Officer to share dodges. So all of these units, anyone with Exemplar, fantastic. Plus they all get card updates that made them better for the most part, like Veers getting his Guidance Ground Vehicle, fantastic keyword. Once again, Krennic getting Spotter 1 is great. On top of everything he already had, sign me up. Leia's absolutely one of those units that we needed a change for. Here she is. A very solid Rebel auto-include almost to make your list better. So I can continue and go through details on all of these guys, but for the most part, all you need to know is they generate tokens and now they can share them with anyone at range 1 to 2. So that's a very, very strong thing, makes all the things around them better. Krennic got a new card with this 3-pip, which is also pretty good. You can also increase the efficiency on all of these dudes with a simple portable scanners or electro binoculars upgrade to make them even better. I don't think the droids want to do that as much, but putting electro binoculars even on Becky, fantastic include in your list, and really any list that has these guys is going to get better. So I love all these Exemplar units. I think this is a fantastic change. We're not really screaming, oh, this is OP, but rather, oh, this is really great for the game to include a better feeling of a commander and less of a unit that kind of just plays some command cards and runs around the board. Honorable mentions. I could have put a whole bunch of units in here. The biggest winner side of thing is just all GAR units. They're just better. They're just better. I don't know what else to tell you guys. All the GAR units got better. Honorable mention though, ARC Troopers, they definitely would have been on this list for units that got better before the points changes. I still don't think they were the main cause of the problem, but they are still fantastic. If I had to put something in at 6, it would be them, and maybe they even deserve to be on this list, but here they are. ATRT-wise, Rebel ATRTs being decent is something I never thought I would say out loud, but here we are. Same thing with the GAR ones. They're actually really good as well, and I might just see them replace Commandos for all we know, but it's just any GAR unit in particular, but I really wanted to point out the ATRTs and ARC Troopers in particular. Loser honorable mention is B1s, probably my favorite core unit in the game. It's just a better core unit in CIS now. You still could spam 6 of these with no upgrades and be perfectly happy, but they just die more efficiently than they used to, and that's not really what you're looking for. So just not exactly a good look for them. The land speeder, I know some people say they like it better, but I don't think cover 1 is once again worth it. And with armor 2, I just think you can one-shot this thing with a lot of units in the game. And if you're putting a bunch of guns on it, it just makes it this really big target that I want to take off the board immediately. It's fast. I don't think it's terrible, but I think with all the card changes, it might have got slightly worse just because it's a little bit easier to kill on top of everything. Number 1 loser, and I'm just going to say this with all my heart, I'm so glad it's you. I hate Dark Troopers so much, and I gotta say, they're bad. The newest unit and the last unit that I tried out in Old Legion was Dark Troopers, and I played them in this edition once, and I've seen, at least we have 2 guys in our community that play them all the time. They're bad. Armor 3 is not cutting it. It's just an infantry unit that's auto-blocking 3 for the most part, and then it's doing the rest of it. It's really bad side of things is because it's so slow, and with plotting only being able to move once per their activations, it really hurts their efficiency throughout the entirety of the game. They can't shift to the other side of the table if they need to like go to a different objective to fight, I don't know, Luke off of it and try to win it. They're never getting there. And yes, I know they technically move twice, but I just think their action economy is destroyed by the fact almost the first 2 rounds you're moving them up. And range 2 as well is a lot harder to get to because of obviously the same thing. They're still extremely expensive. 232 for a full kit of these guys is kind of insane. And that's with the RPG, the minigun, the extra dude, and the 5-point upgrade that gives them the aimer and dodge at range 2 of a commander. I think all of these things are great, and I actually know that we've seen one in one of the bigger tournaments recently where someone ran 3 of them and found success. So once again, not saying they're just a terrible unit, but I do think out of all of the units that got a new card, this one hurt the most. The other really weird thing that I don't think people are thinking about is something that made them so good is they were a vehicle that could score all the objectives. That's not the case anymore. You've lost that special feature of Imperial Dark Troopers now that vehicles can score all of the objectives. So without Gideon's 2-pip, these guys are extremely immobile, and Armor 3 is not going to keep them safe from these big dice pools in this game. You will see Dark Troopers getting taken off the table more frequently than you ever have, and at 232, I just would rather have an ATSD? I don't know. And if you guys think I'm wrong, like, let me know, Dark Trooper players, because this is not my most played unit by any means, but as someone that has despised them for a long time and fought against them a ton, I do feel like they're much easier to handle now, even after I kind of figured it out in the last edition. So let me know what you guys think for sure, because I really want to hear your guys' thoughts on the Dark Troopers, and if I'm just crazy, but for the most part, I just don't think they have enough defensive tech to just march around the board without things like cover. Now, our number 1 winner, and maybe to someone's surprise, but not many of you, it's Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, it's Anakin. Yay, here it is. I'm just kidding. He's actually really cool, and this is including his points change. So this is coming from me. The points change is bringing him up to 170 to start with. I just don't think that's enough to take him even off the number 1 spot. I know that GAR is an expensive faction, and like we talked about, ARC Troopers also went up, Commandos went up. Oh, what are we gonna do? Anakin's just so independent. I don't think it matters what kind of list he's in. He is just an absolute bull. He just goes towards your opponent and you kill stuff. If things die, you kill stuff. If you play his 2-pip, you kill more stuff. If you play his 1-pip, you still kill stuff faster. Sometimes you even kill stuff twice. Anakin is just a murder machine. He reminds me of Vader in a lot of the ways that I would tell new players, like, go pick up Vader if you're playing Empire. He's the most simple Force user, and you just go at your opponent and you just kill a bunch of their models. He can win you games by himself. I feel like Anakin meets that exact same requirement, but he might even be easier to make that happen. As long as you remember his rules, I don't think there's much holding him back in terms of being the best Force user in the game. I don't even think you need things like Force Push on him. Just burst of speed and go. Just attack your unit and use him as a battering ram, and you're going to kill a lot of stuff. But I can't deny the fact that he did go up to 170. Still think he's perfectly fine. All of his stuff is good. His 1-pip, being able to prepared positions him, get him closer to your opponent, maybe even attack turn 1 with burst of speed is insane. Jump 2 and performing 2 attack actions when you actually play the card, insane. His 2-pip gives it to another unit and he gets 6 extra white dice on face down orders. That's crazy too. His 3-pip, I don't even think you need, but heck, yeah, give things aim and inspire too. So I think you could realistically just bring his 1-pip if you really wanted to, and you knew he was going to die round 2 or 3 because you're just sending him straight at your opponent. Great. I think he's still a perfectly fine unit that is going to win you a lot of games. So to me, he's just a solo army with Tempted giving him extra attacks, his cards giving him extra attacks. He's just the most swing my lightsaber at your face person. So with everything else about Anakin, he is just a fantastic unit, and you've seen him, unfortunately, in your competitive scenes, your casual scenes, and everywhere else, and you know he's good. I don't think that points change is going to stop him from being good. Everything on his card is fantastic, and that's the main reason he's at number 1, is because of his card changes. Do not forget, in the comments, tell me what you think. Be honest. I want to engage with you guys and talk about these different things. What units would you have put in the winners category, and what units would you have put in the losers category? I think a lot of units could have met either side of that, but to me, these are my 5 units or groups of units that kind of meet the same category, like Exemplar, being better or worse. As always, this is Colton signing off. Good luck. Have fun.